Welcome to the second installment of the Beginner Clawhammer Banjo series. In the first video, we learned how to do the bum diddy pattern in order to play the clawhammer style. Now we're going to learn what to do with your left hand. Your hand is going to go up here and you're going to place your fingers down at various points on the fretboard in order to basically pinch off the string behind the fret and make a higher note. If I say put your finger on the second fret of the first string, it means here, in between the fret markers. If you put it directly on the fret, some of your finger is going to mute the string. So you put it right behind the fret. The most comfortable position for your left hand is going to be just keeping your hand kind of loosely, loose like this. And you're going to put it right here at lined up with about the first fret. I've got the neck of the banjo sitting kind of right in the pocket of my thumb. Right here, a nice loose grip is where you're going to want to hold your hand. And then your fingers, as they curl over, they're going to find their place behind the frets. Let's take a look at the fret positions that we're going to use most often in this key, in the G tuning that we're in. All of your open strings. And then for the fret positions, we're going to use the second fret of the first string. We're going to use the first fret of the second string. We're going to use the second fret of the third string. And the second fret of the fourth string. As a general rule of thumb, one that gets broken all the time, you're going to want to use your middle finger on the notes from the second fret and your first finger on the notes from the first fret. We're going to practice a very simple tune, and I'm going to teach it to you with single finger notes. And then for anybody who's ready to jump to chords, I'll teach you all the chords and then we'll work through the same tune using the chords instead of the single finger notes. We're going to learn Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. If you're not familiar with old time music, then it will be tricky to learn a brand new tune at the same time as you are trying to learn a brand new technique of playing. So I usually start a lot of my students off with Twinkle Twinkle because it's one that almost everybody can call to memory. You know if you're playing it correctly, so it's a great one to start with. If you think about the tune, every note is doubled up. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And the way that we're going to use that is that we are going to do one bum diddy pattern for each pair of notes. I'll tell you which string that you're going to hit with your bum diddy pattern, and I will tell you if that string is going to be open, or if it's going to be closed, I'll tell you which fret to put your finger down. We start with open third, open first. Open third, open first. Now we're going to stay on the first fret, and we're going to do closed. We're going to put our finger down at the second fret, first string, second fret, and then we're going to go open again on the first string. For the next part of the phrase, we're going to move to the second string. We're going to be closed at the first fret and then open. And then we're going to move to the third string at the second fret, closed, and then open. So that's the first part of Twinkle Twinkle. I'm not going to bother teaching you the second part. It's all the same notes in a slightly different order, so if you want to practice the whole song, you go right ahead. But let's go ahead and put all those pieces together. I'll go nice and slow so you can try and follow along. I'll play those again, and I will say the string that you should be playing, and you can watch my fingers to see whether the note is going to be open or fretted. Third, first, 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 second, second, third, third. When we're in the G tuning, we are playing in the key of G. And old-time banjo music tends to really rely heavily on 3 chords in a key. And in the key of G, the chords that we're relying on are the G, which is open, the C, and the D. To do the C chord, you're going to take your middle finger, put it down on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Take your first finger, put it down at the 2nd string on the 1st fret, and take your ring finger and put it down on the 1st string at the 2nd fret. There's a couple of ways to practice your chords, and one of the ways that I like the most is you're going to take all the time you need to put your fingers down in the right position. Just practice that bum diddy pattern. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the pressure off all the strings. My fingers are still touching the strings, but they're loose. Doesn't sound good, but right now we're not practicing for sound. We're practicing for the feeling of the chord in our fingers. So you loose grip, and then push down again. Down, up, down, up, down. You're trying to develop muscle memory and teach your fingers what it's like to flex and be in that position. Now, as you get a little bit more comfortable, try to bring your fingers really as far off the strings as they can possibly go and still be making a little tiny bit of contact. And then bring your fingers back down. Off. And down. And now the trick is to try to get your fingers all the way off the strings, but still hovering just above them so that when you put your pressure back down again, they find their spot. The other way of trying to get your fingers in the right position is to make sure you're using an anchoring finger. So for instance, if the first finger I put down is my middle finger on the 4th string, then my other fingers can kind of learn how to put themselves in the right position afterward. You can use any of your fingers as an anchoring finger, so you could use your first finger, practice putting those fingers down in the right spot, or your ring finger, and then practice putting those other fingers down in the right spot. It will take time and effort in order to learn your chord, but the more you practice, the better you will get. The other major chord that we're going to use in our G tuning is the D chord. There is a full D chord where you can close all the strings, and then there's kind of a really great open 3-finger chord. You can still strum all 4 strings. The problem with this chord is that it ends on this note, and we use this 5th string note open in our playing. So if I were to play these 2 notes together, they're 1 semitone apart and they have a real dissonance to them. So one possible solution to that problem that a lot of banjo training manuals use is to not use a D chord at all and instead use a D7 chord. Personally, I don't like that solution because the D7 chord is a great chord, but it has a very particular flavor. And most of the time when I want a D chord, I don't want a D7. So the solution that I use, that I've seen some other banjo players use as well, is that I modify my D chord. So normally people would play a D chord with 3 fingers. What I do is I play my D chord with 2 fingers. So I put my pointer finger down on the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. I don't use my middle finger, and I put my ring finger down on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret. What I have here, for any of you people who know music theory, is just a big dyad. I have my D, A, D, D. So I only have 2 pitch values, only 2 notes being represented, the D and the A. It means that I'm not using this note, which clashes with this note. So my solution is using this D chord. I like the sound of it, I like the way it works, and it also has the benefit of being really easy to do. 2 fingers, dropping them down, there you go. The last thing that we're going to try is playing Twinkle Twinkle with chords instead of single notes. So in this case, when you hit a string, you will have a leading note, and then a brush, thumb. All of the leading notes are going to be the same strings and the same notes that we played in the single note version. The only difference is that will include the brush and will include the full chords. Here we go. G, C, G, C, G, D, G. Third string, first string, first, first, second, second, third, third. Play it until you feel comfortable, until your right hand knows what it's doing and your left hand knows what it's doing, and then you can start to learn some more complicated and fun old-time tunes. If you're ready to learn more about what to do with your left hand and your right hand to add more texture and more different sounds to your clawhammer playing, then stay tuned for the next instructional video.